Good afternoon, and welcome to the capstone event of Ivy Tech Community College's first statewide celebration of National Distance Learning Week. My name is Dr. Kara Monroe, and I have the privilege of serving Ivy Tech as the Vice President for Academic Innovation and Support in the Office of the Provost. I'm going to apologize in advance for a slightly raspy voice, and I may grab a little bit of water here during the talk. I'm recovering from a cold this week. Just a second, let me get the slides to switch. There we go. We encourage those of you that are both in our live audience here in the auditorium as well as on our YouTube live stream to engage with us during the talk. You can put questions into the chat box, and I'll introduce the folks who are helping out with that here in just a second. And you can always interact with me anytime on Twitter. I have a Twitter account at KNM Tweets, as well as reaching out by email. And my email address will be available in the show notes as well if you would like to reach out to me that way. Oops, there we go. All right. I want to recognize a few folks as we get started and summarize some of the activities that have taken place this week to celebrate National Distance Learning Week. First, our co-chairs for National Distance Learning Week are Jennifer Stouffer, Online Technology Coordinator for the Central Indiana region, and Robert Morse, Senior Instructional Designer in the Central Office's Center for Instructional Technology. Please join me in recognizing Jennifer and Robbie for their work in coordinating this event and many other festivities that have occurred statewide to mark National Distance Learning Week. Thank you, guys. Second, many of you are watching this keynote from a watch party in your region, and that is likely hosted by your regional online and instructional technology staff members. These staff work tirelessly to help students, faculty, and staff make better use of the technology tools we have at Ivy Tech to support both distance education and our on-ground education programs. Please join me in recognizing all of our statewide online learning and online instructional technology teams. And finally, I want to take just a minute to recognize the great Central Indiana team members here in the auditorium today supporting the live stream. If you have never had the opportunity to do a live stream, it is as nerve-wracking as you might think it would be. And these guys just make it very easy. Join me here in the room today supporting this are Eric, Stephanie, Jennifer, and Tyler. So give them a round of applause, please. Thanks, guys. While we may only be formally observing National Distance Learning Week at Ivy Tech for the first time this year, distance learning is absolutely not new to Ivy Tech. At Ivy Tech, we offer 5 types of distance learning. They're defined in our Academic Support and Operations Manual policies. But to give you a little bit of context for what percentage of our operations they represent, this graphic was pulled from our data warehouse, Newt, earlier this week, and it shows the fall 2016 distribution of course types by unduplicated student count. While 70% of our enrollment is traditional, Ivy Tech has long had policies that support and encourage faculty to use Blackboard for posting their syllabus, instructor contact information, and whenever possible, their assignments directly in Blackboard. Faculty also use Blackboard to communicate grades to students. The addition of assignments in Blackboard allowed the college to make better use of data analytics tools like Newt to identify students who are at risk early in the semester based on their Blackboard activity, and to reach out to those students if it appeared that they were not engaging fully in their classes. Our initiative this fall semester, Project Early Success, is a key tool in trying to identify students who are struggling early in the term and ensure that they are put in contact with the people and the resources that they need in order to be successful at Ivy Tech. Faculty and students who use Blackboard regularly contribute directly to the success of initiatives like these. Approximately 27% of the college's enrollment is online. That's the yellow section in the chart that's behind me. When you combine that with our other major forms of distance learning, hybrid at about 2.8% and synchronous video at just under 1%, you see that more than 30% of students take one or more distance education classes at Ivy Tech. While these numbers are for the fall 2016, that is a statistic that has remained relatively unchanged since our enrollment highs in 2008 and 2009. When we look at the blend of courses taken by students, we learn some other interesting things about how students use distance education at Ivy Tech to support the achievement of their educational goals. This view shows students divided into one of 3 categories. Online, which is that's the green bar in the graph behind me, are those students that have no expectation of an on-campus meeting during the semester. So everybody that you see represented by the green bar there, they have no concept that they would have to come to campus for class. A hybrid enrollment in this context means that students have one or more classes that are fully online and one or more classes that also require some on-campus meeting, whether that's a hybrid course, traditional course, or an IP video course. The tallest bars in each term, the yellow bars, represent those students who are taking only traditional classes. By full-time equivalency, what this graph shows, for the fall 2016 term, 13% of Ivy Tech's enrollment has no expectation of coming onto our campus for even a single class meeting. When we look at these measures by student headcount, we see that nearly 17% of our students are taking their classes only online for the fall 2016, and that 45% of students have at least one online class with the college that semester. Distance learning has long been a faculty-driven activity at Ivy Tech. From having two of the very first fully online programs accredited in the United States by a community college in our Terre Haute region, to today, faculty guide our work in distance education. Today, more than 1,600 of our faculty teach online, and all faculty are asked to use our learning management system each semester to support students in all of their classes. I know that around the state we have students and faculty watching this session together. So students, please join me in recognizing your faculty members for the hard work and the hard hours they put in to make your distance education classes so successful. Faculty members, we all know that teaching a class at a distance, or just simply using any technology in the classroom, requires creativity, a healthy dose of courage, and a lot of extra planning. So I want to add my personal recognition to all of you who face the challenge of not knowing whether that great lesson idea you have using technology will work at all, or even from moment to moment, or whether, as all good educators do, you'll have to resort to plan B, C, and even D, E, and F to help your students be successful in a class session. Thank you again for all that you do to enhance your classes with technology. As we wrap up the more data-focused section of this talk, I want to take a moment to recognize all of the other academic support services that are required to make distance learning successful in any college. At Ivy Tech, the added layer of students being able to take classes from any region just adds complexity to how we do distance learning. Distance learning is truly a transformational activity at any college, and specifically at Ivy Tech, the groups listed here are just a few of the key groups that are involved every day in making sure students and faculty can engage in distance education successfully. Ivy Tech long ago adopted an approach to distance education and technology implementation that says that wherever we can, we make services available to everyone, regardless of how they're taking their classes. That's why these on-ground and remote team members are so critical to supporting distance education, as well as all of the college's educational operations. Our on-site teams in these areas make sure students receive all of the out-of-class support they need to be successful in the classroom. Remote teams and partnerships such as our Answer Center, our partnerships with Tutor.com and ProctorU, and our 24/7 help desk are just a few examples of how critical services meet the needs of all students, not just those in distance education classes. For those of you that know me well, you are not surprised that I opened this talk with the numbers. I am, after all, still a recovering math teacher. However, I'd like to turn now to look at what's happening today in distance learning at Ivy Tech and at what's ahead. The most important thing I can say is that if you don't like change, I'm not sure that it's ever been a good place to work, but it's certainly not a good place to be right now if you don't like change. I even attempted to lay out this talk with very specific sections of what's happening now and what's coming up, and it's almost impossible to do so. Projects overlap and merge together. So I'll try to be clear about what's here now and what's to come. Remember that you can always post questions in the live stream or reach out by email or Twitter. And I'll take a moment to pause and ask Jennifer, do we have any questions so far? Nope, okay. So get those questions into the live stream. Distance learning has long been a changing force in the college's larger operations. One of the first of those areas was our learning management system. In the early part of the first decade of 2000, the college recognized that students were often taking classes from more than one campus. As computerized registration systems made it even easier for students to search for and register for these systems, the difference in the way each campus was conducting online learning was becoming very apparent and a source of frustration for students, faculty, and staff. Students who took classes at multiple regions, as well as faculty who taught classes for multiple regions, often had to log into multiple systems and tools in order to complete their work. By 2002, Ivy Tech recognized that we needed to support a growing population of students who were taking classes online by moving to a single learning management system. At that time, we chose Blackboard, and between 2002 and 2005, the college's faculty and staff migrated courses and programs from multiple disparate systems over to the first iteration of Blackboard. Since that time, we've done 2 holistic evaluations of learning management systems and determined each time to stay with Blackboard as our partner. As most of you hopefully know, though, we are literally in the middle of that process again to evaluate learning management systems. In fact, on Monday and Tuesday of next week, many faculty, students, and staff will come together to review several systems that have made it through the initial round of vendor selection with a goal of making a decision and recommendation to our State Board of Trustees for our system of the future before the end of this calendar year. Whether our partner moving forward is Blackboard or another vendor, we have a major shift coming ahead. For those of you that have been around during these shifts in the past, you know it's hard work. Moving classes from one learning management system to another is, I said a little bit in my notes, but it's a lot like moving from one house to another, and as somebody who's done that in the last year, I can definitely attest to it. In a new house, you can take measurements, you can make sure all your furniture fits, you can pick out a few new pieces to make your new home special, you can paint the walls and even replace the flooring, but at the end of the day, moving is just hard work. We are moving courses, we're not moving flat file data. Course content is a living, breathing thing. Courses have navigational structures, they have personality. You don't just push a button and everything is magically transported. This will be difficult and it will be challenging, but our goals on the other side are to have a set of tools for faculty and students that offer more functionality, that is easier to use, and most importantly, more accessible. Based on our current plans, the college will offer classes in its new system, whether that's the new version of Blackboard or a totally new system, in the summer of 2017. We anticipate you won't want to, nor hopefully likely be able to, miss all of the communication that will come out about this beginning in spring 2017. As we think about what's happening and what's ahead, it's important to realize that we must make education more accessible for all students and faculty. While community colleges have long had accessibility as a key element of their mission statements, it's critical that we take the idea of open access to heart in many more ways than what we have always traditionally discussed. In the next few slides, I'm going to share with you just a few ways that we're seeking to more deeply embrace the open access aspect of Ivy Tech's mission through our instructional technology and distance education efforts. The first of those is through universal design for learning. UDL uses many of the same principles that I, for one, and probably you have as well, often taken for granted now in physical construction. Things like ramps, push buttons to open doors, all of those things that make it easier for all of us to navigate complex building structures. It takes those things, those principles, and it moves them into the realm of learning. And this is not just for distance learning again, it's for all learning, reflective of Ivy Tech's practice of taking those things that change our distance learning efforts and implementing them in the traditional classroom as well. UDL, or Universal Design, is a set of principles for curriculum development that give all individuals equal opportunities to learn. UDL provides a blueprint for creating instructional goals, methods, materials, and assessments that work for everyone, not a single one-size-fits-all solution, but rather flexible approaches that can be customized and adjusted for individual needs. Transforming your class to embrace universal design is what I call one of those never done activities. Much like our analogy of moving to a new house being difficult, the work of making your house your home is never done. Painting walls, changing out curtains and carpets, replacing outdated fixtures and furnishings, it all requires time, effort, and work, and it's never done. The first step in that is normally to research the task at hand and learn more about it. I'd encourage you to do that by researching some of the resources we're providing in the slides, to begin to learn more about how you can embrace UDL in your classroom, whether it's online or on ground. If you'd prefer to engage with others in a discussion, we welcome that too. Talk to your local instructional and online technology team members, contact the instructional design team in the Center for Instructional Technology, reach out to me through Twitter or email, post a question in our live stream chat. As a very small demonstration of UDL, we will make the slides from this presentation available in the YouTube video notes, as well as providing a transcript of the talk to allow those who need more time to do research on their own, as well as to address the needs of those who may prefer to or need to read the text of the talk. For the last several years, Ivy Tech faculty have begun embracing the promise of open education resources. Open educational resources, or OER, are resources that exist in the public domain or have been licensed in such a way that purposes their free use and repurposing by others. For instance, the slides and text of this talk are being released with a CC Creative Commons BY license, which means you can freely use those resources as long as you attribute them. For many, open educational resources are about consuming the work produced by others, but it's also about sharing your own work, whether on your website or through other methods. Ivy Tech is both reusing the work by others as well as producing new work to share with the broader education community. This helps to lower the cost of course materials for students not only here, but at other institutions. At Ivy Tech, a student pays a small fee for courses that have open materials selected in them, but they don't have to purchase additional textbooks or resources in most cases. This addresses our goal as well as a key strategy to have all materials the student needs in order to be successful available to them from the first day of class, and at a significantly lower cost than the price of traditional textbooks. Across Ivy Tech, an OER cross-discipline team is beginning the work of producing our first full degree, the transfer degree in business administration, fully utilizing open educational resources. This option, when available, will allow faculty to continue to adapt and reuse and share these text resources, as well as choose this lower cost option for students in their courses. To learn more, I again encourage you to research using some of the links we've provided in today's talk. Reach out to your regional cross-discipline team member, your online and instructional technology team members, members of the instructional design team here at the center, or again, by Twitter or in our chat panel. While we seek to make our classes more accessible to students through things like universal design and OER, specific to online learning, we also have to make them more engaging for our faculty. In the early years of the Center for Instructional Technology's existence here at Ivy Tech, when our first single version courses were developed, the college was dealing with many challenges with transfer and articulation, disparate resources between regions and campuses to support online learning, and a lack of clear policies on course quality. While much of this has changed for the better, we will soon be launching a team to review and update our online course development and maintenance procedures and policies in order to move on to the next generation of what these look like at Ivy Tech. While it may not seem as much a part of embracing the open nature of education, our work around competency-based education is another pillar in Ivy Tech's quest to embrace its open access mission. We all know someone who has work and life experience but lacks a college degree in their field, and this may very well be limiting their ability to advance in their profession. Whether the degree has been something the person just never simply wanted to take the time and effort to earn, or more often than not, it was something that life made challenging for them to earn because of family or financial situation. We must always be on the lookout for ways to help people return to college or come to college for the first time and earn the credential to certify their knowledge, skills, and ability. To that end, Ivy Tech has 2 current projects in competency-based education underway. These faculty-led initiatives in business operations, applications, and technology, as well as software development, will allow students to complete their technical certificate on their timetable. CBE allows students to speed up or slow down as their own learning demands, and to demonstrate not just course grades, but content mastery through ongoing assessment. You can learn more by contacting one of the lead faculty or by visiting our CBE website, which is on the screen and will be available in the show notes following the live broadcast. As I mentioned near the middle of the talk, change is always happening. My role at the college is always to be thinking about and keeping an eye out for new models and new tools that allow us to better meet the needs of students and faculty. From a flexible learning approach that allows students to choose between online, traditional, and synchronous video instruction for a single class that is currently being piloted in our Northwest and North Central regions, to President Ellspermann's goal to provide all incoming students with a tablet to allow them more flexibility in their learning, we have many, many opportunities to enhance what we do every day in the classroom, whether that classroom is bounded by 4 walls or has no walls at all. And we also are now, as a college, more than ever before, recognizing that the best ideas that will move us forward will come from our faculty and staff. That's why Ivy Tech is gearing up to host its first ever Innovation Day. All faculty and staff should have received an email inviting them to participate in Innovation Day. I'd like to further encourage you to bring forward and share ideas that you think will improve the college in any way, but particularly around the ways we package curriculum, deliver instruction, and use technology to enhance the classes that we offer. We're holding a Q&A webinar on November 18th if you want to learn more specifically about Innovation Day. As we detailed in the all-college email, pitch letters for Innovation Day are due by 5 p.m. Eastern on December 9th, 2016. I could go on and talk for quite a long time about distance learning, but I do want to leave some time for questions. And so I'm going to see, have we had any questions come in? All right. We had one that came in before the talk, and that was from a student. And that student asked if there were any of our courses that they could complete completely online because the student didn't have a car. And there are actually about 16 of those that we have available. And those programs allow you to complete your entire degree online through either internet classes or synchronous video or a combination of the two. And they are detailed on our website at ivytech.edu/online. And more information is available about those on those programs. So I'll take a second and see any other questions that have come in. All right. Any questions here in the room from our audience members? All right. Well, thank you to everyone who is engaged in our first ever National Distance Learning Week activities, whether you participated in our photo contest, whether you submitted a video, whether you just got together with a discussion group on your campus with faculty or staff or students or a mixture of those and engaged directly and talked about distance learning. We appreciate the work you do and how you've supported us in this effort, and we look forward to celebrating again with you next year. Thanks very much.